Froggy. Just want to do a quick pass over. They killed him. So sad.
They killed him. We're sad. Anyway, moving on. Hello and welcome to May the Review Be With You with Nick and Joe. I'm Joe.
I'm Nick.
And today we are talking about Disney Plus's Marvel's newest show, Daredevil Born Again. Charlie Cox, Born Again. As the blind hero, he's back. He's Daredevil. We're on episode 4, Sic Semper Systema. And we have thoughts. Lots of thoughts. Nick, we're coming off fresh from this episode. How you feeling?
The show's insane. It is insane. I feel like at any minute, Murdock and Kingpin are going to absolutely snap. And we kind of got some of that during this episode. We were really close to a complete breakage on both their mental blocks. Yeah, this was... Every week, this show's got something more shocking towards the end, which is awesome.
Yeah, today we had a fake out ending,
Yes.
which I think that's the first time. That's the first time at least this show has done that. I don't recall the original Daredevil show ever doing that. I could be wrong about that. I'm a little hazy on season 3, but yeah, we got the cut to black and then immediate cut to our overall season villain, which we'll get into in a little bit. But yeah, I'm right there with you. This show continues to surprise. I know going into this show, one of the big worries, big concerns was the migration of this show from Netflix to Disney Plus. Was it going to be able to retain the same level of like shock and violence that Daredevil, the Netflix TV show, was known for? And pretty early on, the answer was yes.
Yes.
Pretty early on.
Big yes. Yeah, there's been no issues there. I think from an audience perspective, we're extremely happy with how this has turned out, especially from a violence perspective. There's been no slowing down. If anything, we've taken another level. Maybe gone a step up potentially. I'm enjoying it very much.
I don't know. No one's head has gotten smashed in, to my knowledge.
Well, that's because technically we haven't seen Daredevil since the very, very opening of episode 1. You know, we've gotten Matt Murdock in his law school attire, beating up a couple cops, but we haven't seen Daredevil since the first 10 minutes of episode 1. So there's a limit to the head smashing. Without
to be fair,
Daredevil.
I'm not referencing a Daredevil head smash. I am referencing a Kingpin car door head smash. I don't know if you remember that. I want to say it's around episode 4, episode 5 of the original series, where we get the legendary Vincent D'Onofrio just starts smashing a dude's head in with a car door. It is.
I don't remember that. We'll clip that in. I don't remember that.
I'm sorry if I just awoken a repressed memory. It is violent.
Well, no, it's just that Kingpin's been through so much since that moment that there's a lot of other things that come to mind when it comes to Kingpin, and it's really cool how Disney has brought these characters into, kept them in the MCU and then brought them basically into our universe here. We've gotten some cool references through the first 4 episodes. There was a Spider-Man reference, a couple, I think it was episode 2. We had a Skrull. Did you see the Skrull reference in episode 4 today?
Yes, indeed.
So they're giving us some cool little tidbits here, bringing them fully into the MCU, and it's exciting.
Yeah, I mean that's when I feel like that's when these shows work best. Is when, not necessarily when we're getting the exciting crossover. I mean, obviously we all love that, but when this world feels alive and it feels like all the other stories are moving tangentially with this story, right? They're all influencing each other. That's when this feels most exciting and actually worth all the time and money that we've spent on all of this, right? So just a real quick knockout on Sic Semper Systema. Latin, I gotta brush up on it, but from a quick translation, what we learned was all roads lead to the system. Thus, the system is what the translation of that is, and it appears to be a reference to the conversation that Frank and Matt Murdock have, which, by the way, John Berthal back as Frank Castle. right? Just, oh man.
It's amazing. That scene was intense, man. Like,
yes.
And the only character that can bring out like the true feeling that Murdock's been basically just like keeping inside him for years is Castle. Of course, the only person that can bring out the true feelings is the guy who's basically been through something extremely similar himself. What a scene! Like,
yes, and you know what? I'm so glad that we're talking about the series on a whole, like today, after this episode has come out, because I feel like in talking about Frank and Matt's conversation, you can kind of directly parallel that with the phenomenal scene from episode 1, where Charlie Cox and Vincent D'Onofrio are in the diner together, and they're having their scene. Those scenes, very similar, yet extremely different, right?
Yep.
Like, they're at least, like, what the scene is trying to convey is very similar, as two characters trying to probe each other, right? That's the goal of both scenes.
Yeah.
Whereas the first scene with Fisk and Murdock it's very, like, it's a mental, like, chess game, you know? They're just going tit for tat, right? Whereas it's just a verbal, emotional brawl with Frank and Matt, you know? And just nothing but absolute honesty coming out. Whereas apparently Fisk and Matt, they're lying, but are they lying to each other or themselves? It's kind of hard to say in that scene. Whereas in this scene with Frank, Matt's lying to himself and Frank is just calling BS the whole time. It is a phenomenal scene. It is really cool to think about both of those scenes lining up together and how different they are because of the characters involved.
Yeah. The characters and the acting performances in the show so far are so good, especially when it's like a dual, when it's like, you know, essentially two characters really driving the scene each time, right? Like you're mentioning the scene from episode 1 with Kingpin and Murdock, and then of course this one in episode 4 with Castle and Murdock again. But then the couples therapy scenes. Who knew couples therapy could be so riveting? The couples therapy scenes between Kingpin and Vanessa, like, so good, right? And the tension is like you're just waiting for it to like snap here, right? And of course we get a crazy reveal at the end of this episode 4 about what happened to Adam, which, like, could have bet all the money in the world that he was definitely dead somewhere, but no, it's much worse than being dead. He's just being kept in a prison inside Kingpin's, like, penthouse. Unreal.
Right.
Like, what? But yeah, the performances are just, they're amazing. It's fantastic so far.
I mean, to get at that ending though that you're talking about, and again, it's another, like, scene where you can kind of parallel what happened in episode 1, where you have these two non-dialogue scenes running together, right, between Matt and Fisk, and it feels like more so than the original Daredevil show, this show really wants these two characters to be, like, parallel to each other as much as possible. Like, Vincent D'Onofrio is as much as the star of this show as Charlie Cox.
Yeah.
And at the end of episode 1, you have that great scene where you have Fisk on the building, like, accepting his victory, right, and overlooking New York, and he's basked in this white light, right? And Matt's on the ground in the street with the chaos, and he just has that red light flashing in the side of his face, almost like the violent nature is, like, calling him back, right? And then you have the end of this episode where Fisk he's done, right? He is back to just being Kingpin and doing things the way he wants and reconciling with that violent nature that he has. And Matt, same thing. He's on the roof. He's practicing. He's getting ready to, like, go do what he does best, right? Reconcile with the violent nature.
They're both coming home.
They're both coming home. They're both born again.
Born again. Yeah, exactly. And so the title of the show presents itself.
Are they really born again though? I mean, like, I get what we're going for here, but, like, the beginning is we're different, and then 3 episodes later it's we're not different. We're exactly
took a long
the
vacation.
same.
It was a long vacation. They had a great time, except they didn't. And now we're back, and we're ready to go. And just in time, because next week is a 2-episode release. We'll get 5 and 6 back to back. Probably because we're gonna see Daredevil in entirety next week, we're probably going to see Kingpin kill someone too. If we're going to stay along the line of they're both basically doing the same thing, just in their own way, then Daredevil's putting the suit on, and Kingpin's going to do some killing, and, you know, everything's going to be back to how it was.
Oh boy, there goes Kingpin killing again. Yeah. The reveal of Adam in the cage, I don't know why I didn't see that coming. I mean, I figured he did something to Adam. I just didn't think.
We knew he was something like, most likely 6 feet under.
Right. It was worse.
That's what I'm saying. That's so much worse. He's just like, dude had long hair too. I don't know what Adam looked like when he was, you know, messing around with Vanessa. But like, I'm assuming he's been in that cage for a while based on how his hair looked.
Yeah, so like that's something that's a little unclear to me, is like how much time has gone by since he found out about Adam. And I think, okay, so like we know he confronts her about Adam at the end of episode 1, where they're standing, it's, you know, literally the end when he's standing on top of the building and he mentions it, right? And that's the same scene where Matt is with his new girlfriend, and like they're just like starting out dating, right? And I'm bringing that up because in this episode, he basically says like I love you to her, and like how he can't imagine coming home to his apartment without her being there.
Whoa. That, Joe, how have you lived your life this long? That is not I love you. That is it's really nice that you're here when I come home.
Nah, that was an I love you.
That's not the same thing.
Basically the same thing, entirely the same thing.
Well, good thing this isn't a podcast about love. We'd be arguing for another 30 minutes.
Listen, human language is more nuanced than that, all right? And give the blind guy some credit, all right? He found a more poetic way to say, I care about you.
Yeah, see, that's better. He did say he cares about her.
In any case, clearly, my point is time has gone by, all right?
Yes,
enough time for feelings to grow. Yeah, and apparently hair.
And man, you know what?
I mean, he is an artist, so maybe his hair was already long. I don't know.
I'm gonna make a prediction. Kingpin's not gonna kill him, but he is gonna cut off his hands, because that's what Vanessa really likes. It's his hands.
Yeah, they had special like attention to his hands on the bars there.
Kingpin's gonna cut him off. $20. $20 he cuts his hands off.
So I am curious because I don't know anything about an Adam, at least in the context of Kingpin in the comics. The character that we're introduced to at the end, I suppose spoilers if you don't want to know his name, but like it will tell you probably nothing that you don't already know about the character. I promise I will not reveal anything else because I don't truly know a whole lot about Muse is his name. And the way that the show has depicted him so far is a Hannibal Lecter artist, which that's virtually all I really know about him at this point. But my point is, why I bring this up is he's an artist. Adam is an artist. So I'm wondering what the relation is there. I mean, it's safe to say that Adam is not Muse based on the sequence of events that we saw. But it does seem curious to make Adam an artist and our villain is an artist, you know?
Maybe
so
pin the Muse killings on Adam.
Perhaps. We know that Muse, based on his mural, he has a fascination with Fisk. So at some point, those worlds will be colliding, and in what role exactly Adam plays in that, we'll see.
Very interesting. Very interesting observation.
You know, like as far as the amount of conflicts that can happen in this show, I have no idea where we're going. Because I mean, obviously we have Fisk and Matthew, which like it's inevitable that those two will clash again at some point, right?
Right.
But then Frank is now back in the mix.
Right.
And to what role, we don't know. But there's also the fake police punishers, right? Running around. And at least one who's like decked out in Punisher armor. Right. So there's that, and now we have Muse. So like how this all pans out.
Vanessa could be thrown in there too.
That's a good point.
Because she's running an underground Kingpin.
Yes. Yeah. It seems like at this
Kingpin,
point,
you know, quote unquote.
Yeah. No, that's a great point. Because I mean, it feels like at this point she probably has more influence over the families than Fisk does.
Right. And the other thing too that we have to mention that isn't related to all the tension, but kind of is is the reporter, the BB report.
Yeah, that's a great call out.
Because that's just like, you know, I'm kind of hijacking your.
Oh no, that was basically the end of my point.
Great, because I want, like, it kind of segues into like how cool they're shooting this. I love the clip-ins of the BB report that they show to give us an idea on how the city actually feels about everything going on. I actually feel like I live in this city when I'm watching the show, because they're cutting in these awesome clips from this reporter and her like independent news, you know, basically like YouTubing that she's doing, right? And so I think it's a really interesting way to tell the story on how the city's feeling in relation to like how our main characters are like going about their day and reacting to how the city's feeling, essentially. So I think that's really cool. But it also throws in that extra factor of like when she gets some information that maybe somebody isn't supposed to know, right? Like in this last episode, she gets a leak about the garbage stuff going on, and Fisk is really pissed that she finds out about this, and she breaks the story and kind of ruins his plans. So there's that factor of what's going on in the city and who's reporting it.
That's a conflict that feels like that's definitely gonna come up at some point, especially with BB being the daughter of Ben Urich, right? And the history that was between Ben and Wilson Fisk from the original show. Fisk being responsible for his death, right? So yeah, that definitely feels like that skeleton will probably come out of the closet at some point. Yep. For better or for worse, for BB. I agree with what you're saying, though, as far as those clip-ins. I do love that, because we always get these philosophical arguments, whether it's between Fisk and Murdock or Matt and Frank, about the city, about what's right, about justice, right? And in the original show, while a lot of these dialogues were written really well, you never really get to hear from the city. And right. it is really cool that you get these divisive opinions about what's going on.
Yeah, exactly. It's just cool to see that everyone's got. There's not one side, of course. Like every city, right? It's just like it is now. So,
I have loved how much courtroom action we get in this show.
It's so good.
Episode 3 basically was just a Law and Order episode.
Yeah,
and I loved it.
It was awesome. I wrote down something about like what She-Hulk wanted itself to be, you know, like a courtroom drama. Like we wanted this in She-Hulk and we didn't get a courtroom drama. We got it in episode 3 of this one, which is awesome.
You know, I had that same thought. I almost kind of hated myself for it, because like I was like, you know, She-Hulk was just a fun comedy, courtroom comedy, and like it wasn't trying to be anything else. But we wanted the courtroom drama, right? We wanted that.
Yeah, we wanted the drama. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I wanted this superhero drama, and like, hey, we got it. And honestly, like I thought it tied in really well to, or hang on, maybe not tied in. I thought it laid down the groundwork of where we are in this world and how this world feels about like superheroes, right? We actually, I think we learned in She-Hulk that the Sokovia Accords had been repealed, and superhero registry was like no longer like a thing. So like if it's no longer a thing, like where are we legally with vigilantes, right? So it's really interesting to see legally how that plays out, and then you know how people's feelings and thoughts are about vigilantism. I freaking love this is a, like, if you're not paying attention line, you'll miss it. The debate that Fisk is having with another politician in episode 1. And you only see Matt watching TV, so it's like you're not even directly witnessing the debate. You're watching the TV with Matt, and you're kind of listening to what Fisk is saying. The politician says something along the lines of, you know, we're gonna start registering these vigilantes, and Fisk chimes in and says, registering vigilantes, you might as well make a grocery list of cancers. That was a hilarious line. And then he gets right into, I propose action, which, like, I would never vote for someone like that, but that would get my attention. That would get my attention.
Oh my god! You heard it here first, folks. Joe did not vote for Fisk in the election, but he almost did.
Can fix it.
It was close.
Yeah.
Real quick, because we're on the courtroom drama episode. That was awesome. I'm really pissed that White Tiger's dead. Super disappointing. That's the performance from, was it his daughter?
Is his niece,
Angela.
Yeah.
That quick performance at the beginning of episode 4. Excellent job by that young actress. That was really cool and heart-wrenching.
Yeah, great call out.
And then, well, what was the other speech in episode 4 from like a non-main character is Fisk's. I don't even know the kid's name. The guy who leaked the garbage article to the BB report.
Damn it.
I forget his name because it's really not important because he's basically the idiot in the room every time, but he like somehow, and he admitted it to himself at the end that he shouldn't even be there, you know. But his speech was really, and his apology was really awesome. I thought he did a great job there, and obviously, I think that if Fisk doesn't have the forgiveness conversation in the therapy session earlier in the episode, Fisk probably doesn't let it fly, but he's working on himself, so maybe it's progress. But I think it's safe to say that this kid signed his own death warrant when he said it would never happen again. There's no way he doesn't screw up again.
Oh, yeah. My immediate thought to that, like, I'm sorry, the Penguin, like, changed me forever about gangsters taking on father-son roles with just random kids. Like, yeah, this kid's screwed.
Why'd you have to bring up Vic, man? I'm still healing.
Spoilers for if you haven't seen the Penguin.
Yeah. Also, this is currently a Marvel MCU episode. Don't bring DC into this. What are you doing?
I'm just saying, man. He changed me. He changed me forever.
Good boy.
You should watch the Penguin. It's a really good show.
Yeah, it is a good show. Check out our review right here.
There you go. Yeah, no, I agree. That character feels like a doomed character. I mean, it feels like anyone that Fisk is willing to pour any amount of love into, they're doomed. And that is what that feels like to me, right? Where Fisk, he's got this increasing distance between him and Vanessa. He's lost Maya, right? Someone that he even described as a surrogate daughter. Yep. And you have this kid who just like worships the ground that he's on. And even though I think Fisk, that kid appealed to all of the right like notes for Fisk, right?
Right.
I think Fisk is correct in what, I mean, like as the kid was talking, I was like, this is obviously what's supposed to come across, but the kid is obviously incredibly courageous for just like sticking his neck out, because like everyone appears to know to a degree what Fisk is, right? Like maybe they don't know exactly, but like they all sort of know.
We all know. We
all know.
Been caught. Somehow.
Yeah. The rumor about the car, people know about the car door. People were like, yeah, I heard a rumor he smashed a dude's head with a car door.
Yeah.
They know. So like A, courageous, and then B, like super loyal, right? For better or for worse. But yeah, I totally agree with you. The performance was awesome. That kid is screwed.
Well said. That's the line. Moving on. One other thing that's really cool is I love the detective work from Murdock in these first couple episodes, right? Like finding the casing from the White Tiger death and then using his nose to realize, I guess, that it, or he whatever, his nose and his hands, I guess, to figure out the casing had a Punisher thing on it. And then he went to find Castle, right? Because he had to hunt down Castle because he didn't know where he was. So like, he's just like, and he's got a lot. He's basically a walking lie detector, which you kind of knew that already. But like, I just love seeing the built-in detective work that Murdock's got based on his like.
Oh
senses.
yeah,
really cool.
And like couple that with the editing that we're seeing to highlight his powers.
Right.
I think Born Again is doing such a better job of showing us how he perceives the world. There's that shot in episode 1 in the bar where Matt hears the phone conversation of Foggy outside, and we get to see Matt, and then the camera pushes past Matt and everything goes out of focus. But like as the camera is pushing closer and closer to the window where Foggy is, you're hearing like the peripheral sounds start to like fade out, get foggier, if you will, as the Foggy voice becomes like more narrow and more concentrated. That is some awesome visual editing. That's some awesome audio editing. And like I feel like his powers have never looked and sounded cooler than they do in this show.
Yeah, that's a great point, and the editing is fantastic, along with the fight choreography, of course. Like, they're crushing it. You brought up Foggy. Just want to do a quick pass over. They killed him. So sad.
They killed him. We're sad anyway. Moving on.
Yeah, that was so shocking. Episode 1. Every episode's had such shocking moments so far. I'm assuming that's just the MO of the show moving forward. Like, there's no way episode 5 and 6 don't end with another crazy thing that's going on. So, we'll see. But
I did enjoy how fast this show was. All right, so let me rephrase this. I really enjoyed that the show was going to acknowledge where it had come from, and as quickly, I don't know how smoothly this is necessarily, but as quickly as it can, create the segue between original Daredevil and Born Again, right? It's like we're getting rid of our trio, our entourage, right? And we are reinforcing this is a Fisk show and that this is a Matt Murdock show, and we're going to surround them with new characters, mostly.
Yeah. So many new characters, mostly,
Yes. I think other than... I mean, Karen survived, but she's out of the show, basically, for now. Other than Vanessa, I don't think that there are any other peripheral characters. Well, I guess Frank now. But I wouldn't have called him a regular character on Daredevil.
Yeah. So, yeah, they're doing a great job there, and really it's fresh, the whole thing. So they've really done a great job.
Actually, there was one thing I wanted to bring up before we close things out. Episode 3. When we're talking about all the people that White Tiger saved and all the different police officers who respected that, Officer Morales is mentioned. That's a Miles Morales reference, right? Like you can't just do that, right?
Gotta be. They already mentioned Spider-Man too,
you can't just bring up an officer by last name and not make us think of Miles' dad immediately.
Gotta love the TV show based in New York. They're giving us all the not cameos, but all the slight mentions of all these other things going on in the MCU. Really cool.
A lot to look forward to this show. I think ultimately I'm just really excited to see people start suiting up. I want to see Matt suit up. I want to see Fisk suit up. I really want to see Frank suit up.
Yeah, I want to see the new suit, man. I know there's going to be a fresh take on it. We're just excited to see what happens next. That's right. We'd love to know what you guys think too. Let us know in the comments. Find us on Threads at May the Review Be With You. That's where we're talking, daily, weekly about things going on. And hit the subscribe button. Give us a like on YouTube. And until next time,
may the review be with you.
Peace.